It was a great weekend for Virgin Galactic as they had a successful spaceflight mission, and investors are pretty excited for the stock to open on Monday, but there are some things investors should remember. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk about what they accomplished with today's spaceflight mission and why I believe the stock will go up. And finally, I want to share 3 things that investors should keep an eye out. So let's get started. So if you are an investor of Virgin Galactic, you most likely know what happened this past Saturday. So I'm just going to hit it really quick. They had a spaceflight mission, which was a huge success. If you go on their Twitter page, they were updating it. And here they mentioned that their ship, the VSS Unity, and two of their pilots and NASA technology supported experience now entered space. They actually have a whole video going through the whole process, and I do recommend, if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. It is incredible watching their process in action. But what was the main purpose of this mission? This mission had a few different goals that it accomplished. The first thing is it did carry revenue generating scientific research experiments as part of NASA's Flight Opportunities Program. So they are going to make a few bucks out of this flight. The second thing I think is my favorite and my most important thing. They collected data to be used for the final 2 verification reports that are required as part of the current FAA Commercial Reusable Spacecraft Operator's License. We already know the goal for Virgin Galactic is to be able to provide some form of commercial spacecraft service. So this mission's main goal was to be able to collect more information to be able to get that license. The final thing this mission was meant for is to test out the overall spaceship. They did make a few upgrades. All right, so now that we understand what the mission was, what it accomplished, I want to take a look at why I believe the stock price will go up. Finally, I'm also going to talk about 3 things that investors should keep an eye out for the future. But before we go any further, guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up if I'm providing value to you. I'm always doing videos talking about growth stocks or stocks that I believe have huge potential. So Virgin Galactic right now is sitting at $21. It was up about 6% for the day on Friday before closing. So investors were excited about the mission. From its all-time highs, the stock is down about 64.5%, and it currently has a market cap of $5 billion. So the reason I believe, even though the price action on Friday was pretty bullish for Virgin Galactic, there was still a lot of doubt that there was going to be a failure in this mission, right? And I do believe investments or stocks are kind of valued depending on how much risk they have in the future. On Friday, before the mission happened, there was a lot more risk of owning Virgin Galactic. You had that added risk of this mission failing. Now that the mission has kind of gone through and it's at the moment a huge success, that risk has kind of been eliminated. So with that risk being eliminated, it's going to add more value to the company because companies that are less risky have more value in them. The real question is, if the stock price does go up on Monday, how much is it gonna keep? I think right now long-term investors aren't really gonna sell out, but there's probably a lot of traders that are here for just a quick buck and are gonna close out their positions. All right, so now let me talk about the 3 things I believe investors should be keeping an eye out for in the future, right? But before we go any further, guys, let's take a quick listen to today's sponsor. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You guys know I love finding new investing tools and resources to help me scout out new growth stocks. And right now I have a discount for one of my favorite services the Fool offers. Through the Motley Fool Stock Advisor services, you get access to a ton of expert stock picks. Every month you'll get 2 new picks that are aimed at growing your wealth and to help you realize your financial goals. Stock Advisor's average stock picks have done amazing returns. If growing your money is something you'd like to do more of this year, you can visit fool.com/Jose Najarro or click on the link below for access to my special offer and decide if the stock advisor is right for you. Thanks again to the Motley Fool, and now onto today's video. So the first thing investors should keep an eye out is that yes, the mission visually was a huge success, but their engineers still have to conduct a review of all the test data gathered and thoroughly inspect the spaceship and the mothership. So right now there is the potential that there could have been something wrong, and in the upcoming days, in the upcoming weeks, Virgin Galactic might have to say, hey, we have to redo this portion of the test because we didn't like certain things that we saw. Or they can also find room for improvement, just like when they found that EMI was affecting their components components and they had to make corrective actions. So they might have found more upgrades to make to the ship. So some investors might see that as a bearish, but overall the ability to get data and to grab that data, I think is a great move for the company in the future. Once the team can confirm the data looks good, they will proceed to the next flight test milestones. And I believe that is the and I believe that's the second thing investors should keep an eye on. Right now, their flight test program includes 4 flights. The first flight was the one that happened on Saturday, where they had rocket power space flight with 2 pilots on board. The second flight that needs to happen is 2 pilots and a full cabin of mission specialists. The third flight will demonstrate private astronauts' experience, and the manifest will include. Finally, the fourth flight will demonstrate microgravity research and professional astronaut training markets. So we can see there's still a few milestones the company still has to hit. Completing this was a huge success, but investors should remember that the company still has to go through much more. The final thing investors should remember is this company at the moment is not really collecting much revenue, and they do have a nice amount of cash and cash equivalents with a rough burn rate of about $50 to $60 million. In quarter 2, they expect about $60 million burn rate. So in theory, they do have a good amount of cash to be able to survive. Right now, in theory, be able to survive 10 quarters without kind of doing any funding. So that's a great thing. It doesn't seem like this company is going to go down under anytime soon. But investors should remember that, hey, this is a company right now that is burning cash flow. And maybe in the future, we might see some form of extra funding, even though at the moment, they haven't really mentioned anything. But there could be some future funding, either another offering, either a senior note debt. So these are things investors should remember. So that's it for today's episode. Congratulations to all the Virgin Galactic investors. And I hope you guys have a good day on Monday.